Welcome back, everybody, to Magnolia on Money. This is Ed Cox from Magnolia Wealth Management. And today, cannot believe, today is the last day of February. Then we're into March. So let's discuss last week. Last week, we saw a sharp decline in the markets as we witnessed Russia invade Ukraine. So the markets reacted very sharply to that. But also, by the end of the week, we had a really big rebound, and the S&P was actually up almost 1% last week. So one of the reasons why you can't have knee-jerk reactions to market fluctuations, and this market's still trying to kind of figure out how is this going to affect us in our energy sector mainly, but also the different sanctions that the world is putting on Russia, and as they keep rolling out different sanctions, how's that going to affect the economies around the world, including the U.S. And so we're watching that. We'll see, kind of how that's going to affect us. I was on a conference call, webinar this morning with General Petraeus was on there giving his point, and some economists. And so, they still feel like we're going to have lots of volatility this year, but they do feel like, the U.S. economy will continue to grow, yet at a slower pace than last year, but continue to grow. So we'll keep you guys up to date on what's going on with that. But mainly, we're kind of trying to figure out what's going to happen with all these different sanctions being rolled out at different times, and how that's really going to affect the economy. So in front of me, kind of back to last week, we talked about IRAs and Roths. We talked about that IRA accounts are tax deferred. You put your money in an IRA. You do not pay any tax. When you pull it out, you pay the tax. Then we talked about Roth accounts, how you pay the tax up front, then you never pay tax again. Okay. So I got a few questions. People saying, Ed, but if I don't contribute to my Roth, my IRA, and I put money in my Roth, will it grow as well as my IRA did? So I thought, you know what? It's a big misconception. IRAs and Roths are just a wrapper that goes around your investments. So I have some investments here. Mutual funds. Okay, so you have a mutual fund portfolio that you put inside your IRA. The IRA just says, hey, these mutual funds are taxed a certain way. Okay, they're tax deferred. So when I pull mutual funds or money after I sell out of this, it's taxed. I can take the same mutual funds, put them in my Roth, and they're going to perform the same way they would over here. They're just taxed different. So the IRA, the Roth, basically just says, hey, whatever's in here, mutual funds, bonds, ETFs, stocks, cash, whatever we put into this bucket is going to be taxed a certain way. The same way is if we take all these investments and we dump them over here, they're going to be taxed like a Roth. But the performance inside your IRA or inside your Roth depends on what you hold inside of there. So if you held the same thing inside your IRA that you did your Roth, they would perform exactly the same. So there's no difference between performance of the two. It's just the IRA or the Roth just relates to the taxation of whatever is in each of those buckets. So I hope that helped. We'll continue on this, learning journey about IRAs, Roths, taxation. And I think next week what I'm going to do is go and talk about the history of taxation and where we are today compared to where we were, and when these types of accounts came into existence, where were taxes, and kind of what was the thought process of why the government did that. I'll give you my take on why I think they did it. And then hopefully it'll help you kind of understand why we do certain things and why you would be contributing to one or the other. And once again, everybody's situation is different. Some people, IRA is the best way to go for them at this point. Some people, Roth is the best way to go. And some people, we're moving money from one to the other. So you got to have a plan. You got to stick to your plan and make sure that it matches your situation, not your neighbor or your coworker. Hope this helped. Y'all have a great week. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.